This summer, the world's largest arena for sports and collectibles is back in New York City. Catch the return of Fanatics Fest from June 20th to the 22nd, where you can share the floor with the biggest names in sports. That means appearances by over 500 iconic athletes and celebrities from your favorite teams, including current and former New York Knicks legends, plus live panels and podcasts, exclusive merch collabs, a trading card arena with 200 of the biggest dealers in the biz, and way, way more. Get your tickets today at fanaticsfest.com and get 20% off your ticket price with promo code Knicks Film School 20. Again, get tickets at fanaticsfest.com and use promo code Knicks Film School 20 for a 20% discount. When the world's greatest athletes gather in New York City, don't miss it. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show, presented by Fanatics Sportsbook, where I say, not today, my friends.
Not today.
Not today. I don't know about Saturday, but not today. Oh, man. Oh, Benji, I'm happy they won this game. Let's just start right there. I'm happy they won this game. I was really thinking about just this season a lot over the last 24, 48 hours since the Game 4 loss, and how I was feeling a certain type of way, and about how these conference finals had really kind of had me down to the point where I was, and then I had to like re-examine myself. I'm like, man, this team has given us so much though over this postseason run. For as frustrating as they were in the regular season, they've given us the sorts of wins where you could make be a team that makes a conference finals and not have even one or two of the wins that they've had, like, I don't know, 5 of 6 of, so like a goodly number to get to this point. And I'm like, I'm not being fair. I need to get up for this. I mean, 3-1 is not 3-0, it's 3-1. Teams have done it before. And that's kind of where I was going into tonight. And I did my best. And maybe it's a bit of a defense mechanism, and that's why I refuse. I had a tough time getting up because this team has, I feel like I'm on a therapist couch, but they've hurt us before, and I did not want to get hurt again. But here we are, and we get to talk about a win that I know. I don't know how you felt, Benji. This entire game felt like the lead was about 5 points. I've never in my life experienced a game where from I guess the middle of the second quarter on, they never got it below a double-digit lead, did they? I'm looking here.
No, I don't believe so.
I don't believe they did either. Maybe late in the second. Maybe actually when the starters went back in. Because they needed to get it back up to an 11-point lead, because it was 14, and then
I thought you were saying second half. Yeah, second.
Sorry, from the middle of the second quarter on. From the middle of the second quarter on, I think it briefly maybe got down to 7, but then they got it back up over double digits in the second half and never got below double digits. But we were sitting here, and there were stretches of this game in the second half where it was a 12-point lead, a 14-point lead, a 16-point lead, and it felt like, oh my God, if the Pacers score consecutive baskets, we're dead in the water. And I don't know if that's more a credit to the Pacers or that's more Knicks fan PTSD, but that's how I felt watching this game. And that's kind of where I want to start before we get into some of the individual performances and some of the schematic stuff that maybe led to this win. So how did you take in this game?
It felt like the Knicks improved leaps and bounds in terms of effort and in terms of intensity. It did not feel like the Knicks improved in leaps and bounds in terms of intelligence and decision making. And that's where I think it always felt precarious, because they were 2 turnovers in a row away from another run. They played great from a effort and intensity standpoint. There was a lot to be desired still in terms of their collective decision making. And so that's where I think the feeling came, where there was frustration despite, to your point, basically a double-digit lead for the majority of three quarters of the second, third, and fourth quarters. So they played a really great game. Defensively, It was by far their best. I want to give a huge shout out to Jalen Brunson, who I think we all challenged to say, hey, you're never going to be Drew Holiday out there. Yep. But if you're going to show and recover, then freaking show and recover. And if you're going to switch, then hold up. And he did. And he just did. It was just much better execution of the defensive game plan. And he was much better from an intensity standpoint. So credit to him.
Stop here for a second, because I think that's such a key point. Was this, in your opinion, the best defensive game from Brunson in this series?
Oh, yeah. No question.
You didn't even think about it. Okay.
No question about it.
Okay.
And it's simple. And it's, it's simple stuff. It's just like, if you're hedging and recovering and you can't hug your defender and just be an extra screener for Bridges, which happened 6-7 times in game 4, like you have to actually get out there. And it's not just because Haliburton knows how to get through it, but now you're cleared out of the way and Bridges actually has an angle to get back to Haliburton. And in terms of Bridges, it's not Nesmith hounding Brunson up the court. It will never be. That's not who he is as a defender. But we saw at least he's up there with him full court. He's at least making him think about it. He's taking steps towards Haliburton over the course of this game. Whereas prior to that in this series, it felt like he was always backtracking. And Hallie could just observe the floor with no impediments. And Bridges has to be at least an impediment. So I thought he was significantly better. I didn't think he was like great. I don't think the reason Haliburton didn't shoot the ball was because Bridges was like exceptionally good defensively. But he was much better. The reason Haliburton took so few shots is because the communication was so much better. And you didn't have two guys leaving Haliburton, so Haliburton could just shoot an open three at any point in this game. It was consistently, we have one body on him, we're switching when we're switching, we're communicating ghost screens when they're ghost screens. They did such a good job tonight of just staying out of the blender by being solid in their communication so that early actions weren't major breakdowns. We saw the Pacers score mostly end of shot clock, either a beat at times where the Knicks were rotation short or got back cut late, but it wasn't first action. And when you allow Indiana to kill you in first action offense, you have no chance. You force them to be shot makers late in the clock and make one final play. That's where the Knicks want to be from a pace standpoint and just from a defensive attitude standpoint. It was much better.
And I got to tell you, I don't know how you felt watching the game. I'm looking it up right now. So the Pacers finished this game. They only shot 33% from three. They only shot 40.5% from the field. Up until middle, maybe end of the third quarter, it felt like every time the Pacers had a good look from three, they hit it. I felt like they were all going down. And I thought the Knicks, on the flip side, had some good looks from three, good open looks from three that were not going down. And we'll get to that. We'll get to some of the shooting, and I actually think that's a reason to feel positive going into Game 6. But I want to stick on this for a second first, because so they gave up 94 points. I'm about to look up. Actually, I don't know if Cleaning the Glass is going to have it right now, but like what we can say in terms of the half-court defense, the Knicks did turn the ball over 15 times. The Pacers got 20 points off of those 15 turnovers. Pacers turned it over 20 times. Knicks only got 15 points over the 20 turnovers. That speaks to the lack of collective intelligence that you were talking about, which continues to rear its head in this series. Again, we'll talk about that in a bit. But 15 fast break points for the Pacers overall. Again, 20 off of the turnovers. I think when you look at the final point total that they had of 94 points, you have to feel good about where the Knicks half-court defense was in this game, right?
100%. You felt great about the way. Yeah, I mean, and it was, I think, everybody involved. You know, you want to talk about OG Anunoby. Some of his help rotations in the second half in particular were outrageously good. It was a poor offensive showing from him. He didn't shoot the ball well. If he makes a couple more threes in this game, he puts it away even earlier. But defensively, as a rotator, now they didn't really put him on Haliburton. I thought that might be the pivot in this game.
We saw, but didn't we kind of like a few possessions? He was,
when Bridges was out at the end of the first half, then OG had the assignment. Once Bridges came back in, it was Bridges again. But and I thought when OG was on him, he did great. Like I do want to see more of that.
Yeah.
But putting him on Nembhard, is helpful in the sense that he is right now. I mean, he is their lowest scoring starter. Although he's dangerous at times, he's had a really rough series offensively. It allows OG to be in the lanes as a helper, and there were a couple of rotations in that game, fourth quarter, that were just nuts. Just like coming flying in on, it looks like an easy layup for Siakam, and there's OG flying in for a half a block. And then you look at the bench guys, John. Like,
let's save the bench for a second. Let's save the bench for 1 second. I want to ask you one simple question. Do you think that there is a chance that what the Knicks were able to accomplish defensively tonight was a product of like, all right, we've seen this now four times over the course of the last week. Could they be getting used to it more? As Benji's frozen for me, I don't know if he's frozen for everybody else. Hopefully he comes back.
Do you hear me? Do you hear me at least?
Benji, you there, Benj? There you are.
I'm here. I don't know. I feel fine where I am, but I'm
good.
Functioning fine. Do you hear me?
Yeah, no, I got you now. Do you think that maybe they figured some stuff out?
It's funny. I thought they figured some stuff out second half of game 3. And I think a lot of it just depends on each team coming into games, imposing a new kind of will, a new kind of force, right? And I thought Indy came out in game 4 with such insane pace and energy, feeding off their crowd, in fairness, but such insane pace and energy that the Knicks just could never find traction in the half court defensively when they even got to be in the half court. Like, they were on their heels from tip. Tonight, the Knicks came out with that kind of force, and Indy never quite got into there. So look, game 6 comes around back in Indy. I anticipate that Indy's going to come out flying.
Yeah.
Insisting on pushing on makes, misses, everything. The Knicks need to be ready for that. The question now for me is, can they find traction at some point in the game? Like, you have to be able to buckle down at some point, ride the wave. Indy's going to go on runs on their home court. They just are. They're really explosive offensively. That crowd gets them going. You need to be able to sustain. I can't imagine it's going to go like this, John. Like, I don't see Indiana scoring 94 points in game 6. But you have to take punches, sustain, find pockets of stops. Don't give up 3, 4, 5 straight buckets. Like, find your stops where you can find them and then go on runs yourselves. That, to me, is the key. So I think the Knicks have found defensive traction at points in this series. Like, it hasn't been all bad. This was the best performance 48 minutes wise defensively. Again, I don't think they're going to match this performance in game 6. I think they're capable, though, of slowing Indiana enough the way the offense is operating.
Before we move on from Brunson, maybe sphincters were tight in this game for the Knicks at the beginning. We wouldn't know it, though, because right out of the gate, Brunson put the team on his back. And I think, look, Brunson's gotten gotten some flack over the last few years for like being a little bit too call his own number, at times. I thought tonight was the night he needed to come out and do exactly what he did, which is like, I got you. We're going to get out on the right foot, and it's going to be on my shoulders. Started out 5 of 6 from the field. Actually, 6 of 7 from the field. Had 14 of the Knicks' first 25 points. I don't want to say that that's going to get lost because there's other stuff that we're going to talk about. Particularly, we already talked about the defense. That was just so massive to me right out of the gate.
Yeah, I'm just grateful, John, that there's not 2 days in between games, because after all of these games, like the conversations get so out of control. The more time you give it to breathe, the worse the conversations get. Jalen Brunson is great. They don't have an answer for him. They just don't. And I appreciate SVG is shouting out Neesmith's screen navigation, which is great. I'm not saying it's not great, and he is their best defender on Brunson by a gazillion. Can't stop him. He just can't. He doesn't have the body, the physicality to really deal with Jalen Brunson the way some defenders sometimes can. And frankly, there aren't that many of them. I mean, I thought the biggest stretch for Jalen, though, and the announcers, to their credit, were all over this, is when Towns picks up his 4th idiotic foul. And the announcers are going, look, Jalen Brunson, it's just the Indiana Pacers upped their pressure a ton. It felt like anybody else handling the ball was struggling to handle the ball. And Brunson was like, all right, I'm just going to do my thing where I'm just going to keep pounding the ball until I get an inch of advantage. I'm going to drive and I'm going to score. And he did it, I don't know, 3 times in that stretch to kind of sustain that double-digit lead, keep it at around 16, 18, never got down to 10.
Well, it did.
Huge, massive stretch.
It got down to 74-64. And then so that was, it was, yes, 74-64. Hakamich 0 for 2 from the line. Precious Achiuwa in that next stretch. Jalen Brunson bucket. Jalen Brunson draws offensive foul. I think it was Jalen Brunson hit Mikal Bridges for a nice little mid-range make. I actually want to go look that up if that was Brunson on the assist there. I feel like it was. And then the biggest play of the game, in my opinion, Jalen Brunson fouled by Obi Toppin on the 3-point shot, makes the free throw, 8-0 run Knicks. Momentum gone, 82-64. And then for good measure, you want to give me a Gesundheit?
Gesundheit!
Precious Achiuwa builds it back up to a 20-point lead. What a nice dish from Mikal Bridges, by the way. Yeah, it was a good pass.
Man, you talk about a team that was criticized for being 7 deep.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got here exactly.
Now we can talk about the bench.
I just don't know how we got here where they played 10 tonight.
New York Knickerbockers.
Hart, Deuce, Shamet, Wright, Achiuwa, 10.
So, 10, and then Huck Porty got a minute at the end.
Nah, it doesn't count. 10. Okay. They played 10 tonight, and every single one of those players, and it's legitimate. Every one of those players contributed positively.
Oh, Hart assisted Hart assisted that Bridges midi, so it was a nice pass by Hart. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, it's just like it was such a team win in that sense. Like every single player came in and did a great job. I mean, some like Shamet was. You cannot ask Landry Shamet to play any better than that.
You want to have the Shamet conversation right now?
I think I gave him an A+.
You did.
He deserved because my feeling was like, what could Landry Shamet have done better in this game? He missed 1 shot. Okay, like that's gonna happen. He caused like 4 turnovers. He switched on to Pascal Siakam in the first half and got a stop and a turnover. He was guarded Halliburton and got a stop and a turnover. Like he was amazing, and his peskiness is playing in this series. There aren't a lot of guys who can kind of overpower him. And when he gets out there, he is doing a phenomenal job defensively, being pesky and annoying and a gnat, and he's making threes. I am shocked, John. You know how I feel about Landry Shamet. Not much. And here he is.
So draws a key offensive foul.
Unreal.
In the first half.
Second straight game he did that. Or second straight win.
Has the defensive stand against Siakam in the first half, and then in the fourth quarter gets switched on to Miles.
That's right, Miles
Turner, 7-foot Miles Turner, and holds up on that switch. After, by the way, he hit the first basket of the quarter when, again, sphincters felt a little tight and it
on
counted
a step back. On a step back,
it counted as a 2. I thought it was a 3 in the moment, and then. Finally, TJ McConnell beats the Knicks like they're his redheaded stepchild for years here. And Landry Shamet D's him up, makes him lose the freaking ball out of bounds. It was a highlight of the game for me.
Unreal. Yeah, they've done a much better job on McConnell. I know he's still getting his buckets, but just like making sure we're going under. You know, you talk about Indiana's 3-point shooting, by the way, which was in the end bad. But like at the same time, McConnell makes a 3. Jarris Walker comes in and makes 2 threes. Not that he's a bad shooter, but you just don't expect the guy to come in for the first time in the series and just make 2 threes.
2 for
he
4.
Makes
Walker.
2, and Mathurin made it at least 2.
I'm looking at it right now. Mathurin 2 for 4. McConnell 1 for 2. Walker 2 for 4. Ben Shepherd 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Halliburton only took 2. He missed both. Nembhard only took 1. He missed it. Turner 1 for 2. Siakam 1 for 3. I know it feels like he's hit everything. And then the only guy who you look at and you're like, okay, that was a substandard 3-point shooting performance. Excuse me, I forgot about Obi Toppin. That was a comment on the broadcast. Who said maybe a little bit too much Obi Toppin tonight? Was that Stan?
I think it was Stan, yeah.
I think it was Stan. Obi Toppin 0 for 4 from deep. And then Nesmith. Nesmith won 1 of 5.
Yeah, he owes us one, so I don't care. I'm just saying I did not, again, like after game 3 with the 5 for 25, I did not think Indiana missed a ton of great looks tonight. I actually thought the Knicks missed more great 3-point looks than Indiana did, which tells you how the defense was working, because I thought the Knicks were generating better threes, which has not been the case for most of the series. And the rotations were just better, and the breakdowns were fewer and far between. And you didn't get great looks, I didn't think, for their best shooters. So that was a good job.
Speaking of those Knicks missed threes, I remember earlier for a while this season, because I was getting annoyed very early in the year, where people were like, well, when the Knicks, don't hit threes, they can't win. They're too dependent on hitting threes. And I'm like, you know what? I actually don't think that's the case. And then I started tracking that stat, and I remember we texted about it like throughout the year, where how many games that they won in which they shot and in which they made, I think it was a third or less, or maybe under a third, whatever it was, something like that. Like not a lot of their threes. And I think I forget when they surpassed last year's total, but it was in like January.
Yeah.
It was early. And I was like, you know what? This team, like, give them credit. They don't actually need to shoot the 3 well to win. And tonight, wouldn't you know it, 27.6%, 8 of 29. Benji, you want to, off the top of your head, without trying to add it up in your head, non-Brunson Knicks, what do you think they shot from deep tonight?
Oh, God. Let's say 4 for 19.
You got the first number right. 4 for 22.
Wow, that was actually a really good guess. That
was a very good guess. Mikal Bridges 0 for 3. Off the top of my head, I liked those. I liked the looks that Bridges got. OG Anunoby 1 for 7 from 3. Again,
great looks. OG had great looks.
They all felt good. Towns had 4 looks from 3. He made 1, and I feel the one he made was, I can't remember when was the 1-3 that Towns made.
That was a quick release from the left wing, if I recall.
Yes, it was, and it was big in the moment, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
But he missed the one off an offensive rebound, which I don't think he's missed all year. Like a direct kick out top of the key. I really don't. I'd never see him miss that shot. He just missed the front rim. Yeah.
So he was 1 of 4. McBride made his only 3. That's important. Hart 0 for 2. DeLon Wright 0 for 3. I'm not sure I needed any of those 5 shot attempts in my life. And then Landry Shamet 1 for 2, like you said, he only missed 1.
Man, DeLon got great looks too, wide open. I mean, a suspect shooter, so it is what it is. But
yeah,
they could have they had opportunities to push this to 25 at various points just by making some shots and never did. But to their credit, they played good enough defense so it didn't hurt them.
Again, I think that should make us feel good heading into Saturday night rather than bad. Let's talk about the centers, because I don't think either center will be maybe a leading story from this game. Although, I always say, at least game to game, individual game plus minus, oftentimes is not really worth much of anything. The paper it's printed on. I did think that Karl-Anthony Towns being a plus 26 in this game was representative of his impact. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah. And it was just like, it's been the case all year, John, right? Like that beginning of the second quarter when he kind of, he plays a little bit of a side role for the first quarter. Brunson runs the show. This has been the rhythm all year. This is not new. Like Brunson
you tweeted it. Say what your tweet was, which is,
it's the beginning of the second. Towns comes in and he goes on these runs. That is when he puts his imprint on the game, and he does it consistently. And he's done it in the playoffs, and he did it in the regular season. He plays with a bench squad that prioritizes him in the offense, and he takes over games. And it's been the best lineups the Knicks have played all year have been those lineups that start those second quarters. Like that is where they really took the lead. And from there, they controlled the game. So Towns' stretch to start the second quarter, I don't know how much he had. He had like 10 or 12 in the first like 5-6 minutes of that second quarter. And I just thought it really turned the game. And he has done that all year.
Let me go to, here we go. All right. So Towns in the second quarter, ended up with 12 points, on 5 of 7, from the field. He had an assist. He had 7 rebounds, in
beastly on the board
quarter alone, and 2 of 2 from, the free throw line. And then, and I thought, so defensively, I thought Towns, there's always going to be a few. Overall, though, you signed for that Karl-Anthony Towns defensive game 10 out of 10 times, I think.
Absolutely. Look, the fouls are what they are. I don't know what there is to say. It's plagued him his whole career. It is what it is. He is who he is. I don't know. So I'm going to stop there. Just unbelievable stuff. Yes. But yeah, solid defensively. Just like, well, I don't honestly, I can't think of a ton of switches onto Halliburton. Like, I don't know if they, I think they,
the fourth, and Halliburton got a
layup out of it.
Well, but I think he missed it.
He definitely made a layup on a Town switch in the second half. I don't remember if it was the third or fourth quarter, but like, regardless, he wasn't exposed as much. I don't know if they picked on him less. It'd be interesting to see the data as to how many screens they ran with him. But again, because Bridges stayed more connected and because Brunson wasn't getting in the way, even when they ran those double drag screens, which have killed the Knicks this series, it never ended up with like Halliburton easily turning the corner into a layup. Like they were just more sound, and that was 1 through 5. And I thought Cat also was just more solid in coverage and communication, staying high and making sure he wasn't in a terrible drop, etc.
Yeah. And then the other center. Look, you look at the numbers, quiet game from Mitchell Robinson. Only played 20 minutes, 6 points. He was only a +3 in those 20 minutes. Only 1 offensive rebound, as I think the Pacers continue to prioritize not allowing Mitchell Robinson to beat them on the offensive glass. We got a Brunson game. We got a nice Towns game. We got a Shamet game. The defensive performance overall. Let it not go unnoticed that for about a 2-3 minute stretch in the third quarter, Mitchell Robinson took over the basketball game. So the block on Halliburton, then forcing the turnover, then had the next time down the floor, another spectacular defensive possession in which he was, if I recall correctly, he was like showing high. He was like putting a lot of pressure on the ball that next defensive possession.
Yep.
And then after some silliness, a big block of Thomas Bryant at the rim when it was weird because it was an 18-point game at that moment. But
and by the way, John, a block that just they're you can count on your fingers how many people can make that block. He was so far away from Bryant when he caught that ball. That's a dunk. And just what makes it sounds silly, but what makes him special is he is one of the most giant humans in the world, and he can cover ground that just nobody else can cover at times. That block is ridiculous. Nobody can make that block. Yeah. Amazing play.
Insane. And actually, sorry, it was when it was a 16-point lead, and then I forget what happened down the court, but it went to 70.
He got a steal. He deflected a ball when the Pacers were in transition during that stretch as well.
Oh, yes, you're right. Oh, my God. Yes. It was an insane
a total takeover. And like, when we talk about ball pressure, we think often about the point of attack on Halliburton, and that is important, and it was improved tonight. But ball pressure is everywhere. And if you make every handoff action difficult so that Halliburton can't just come around Turner and take the ball from him and then prance and do his thing, changes a whole possession. And how many times was Mitch draped over Turner at the top of the key to disallow any easy handoff, no vision, couldn't make a play out of it. That's the stuff that wrecks possessions. And every time you do that, you get the Pacers out of rhythm. And that's the stuff I mean. Like it wasn't a huge schematic shift by the Knicks, although Brunson, I thought, was just more active in his hedge and recover and switched a little bit more at times. It was more just like we're upping everything, literally upping where we are on the floor. Defenders move up, get in the backcourt. Bigs get up on your screeners. Just everybody amp up the pressure so that the Pacers can never get into a rhythm. I thought that was like the Mitch stuff on Turner is such a great example of that.
Yeah. And look, of the Pacers' 20 turnovers, how many of them were like quote unquote forced? Enough to make me feel comfortable about the defensive performance. And speaking of the two bigs, the starting lineup tonight, which a lot of people questioned coming into this game, whether Tibbs should stick with it, whether Tibbs should maybe put Deuce in the starting lineup instead of Mitch. I mean, there was, I think, the basketball sage Magic Johnson suggested going back to Josh Hart. It was a plus 18 in 13 minutes and 13 seconds. Outscored the Pacers 39-21 in those 13 minutes. So, look, I mean,
and John, that's without the obvious advantage even manifesting. Like they didn't offensive rebound. Like Mitch had one offensive rebound on the game.
Yeah.
So it was just like defensively they were great, and offensively Brunson did his freaking thing, and that's pretty much what happened, right?
No, and to me, it sounds crazy to say, but the best reason to bring Mitchell Robinson into the starting lineup is to get the best offense out of Brunson, because the numbers the entire postseason have shown Jalen Brunson is better on the offensive end. He has a better offensive impact when he has Mitch screening for him. Again, it's wild that we're here, but this is where we are.
Yeah. And it's that, and it's getting Cat off of Turner, and I think that's been super beneficial. And I think as much as Siakam can expose him at times, generally speaking, Cat has kind of held his own in that matchup. It's forcing him into mid-range jump shots that he might make. But what really hurts you with Siakam, A, is the leak outs that he's killing the Knicks with, and the Knicks need to do a better job getting back to him. But B, it's the seals and the easy jump hooks over smalls that's been killing them. Cat obviously isn't going to concede those. So he's done a good job there. And yeah, Mitch has kind of stabilized both ends with his screening on offense and then the rim protection defensively.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then so talked about the wing, or the starting wings at least. Could we have want to talk about Josh Hart before we?
Yeah, let's talk about Joshua.
What would you like to say about Joshua, Benjamin?
Well, if there were two things that I was really disappointed with in game 4, it was the turnovers and the back cuts. And both things happened tonight. Again, multiple times. So that's not great. But a couple of massive rebounds on both ends.
Yeah.
That didn't always pan out into shots, but like were classic Josh Hart offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds.
Couple of steals,
a big one on McConnell, a great strip when again Indiana started gaining some momentum. And then look, like, I don't know how long I've been talking about this. I don't know when the Indiana Pacers became Duncan and Robinson down there, but the Knicks wings seem to think that Turner and Siakam are Samson and Olajuwon.
I was about to say Samson and Olajuwon, the other one. You could go.
The Giannis Wemby pairing that's about to happen.
There you go.
Like, I don't understand why they're passing out of these drives as if they're facing the best. Now, Miles Turner's a really good rim protector. Pascal Siakam's long. I'm not. I don't want to diminish how good those guys are, but the Pacers' rim protection should not be this presence that is forcing these outrageous passes out of drives or out of drives into mid-range jump shots if you're Mikal Bridges. And finally, in the fourth quarter, Hart's like, oh, I can just go up and freaking finish. And it's like, dude, just go up and finish. What are you so scared of? And once they start doing that, it'll be better for everybody. And they'll start drawing some freaking fouls. and they'll finish some layups. So I just think he needs to like rejigger his mind. I know he wants to be a playmaker. He sees himself as the Draymond of this team, and he likes to play that way.
Yeah,
but he's got to just go up and finish the way he was first half of the season.
The kick out or the attempted kick out. With Bridges attempted to go to Bridges in the corner. It felt like he was 4 feet from the basket, and there was nobody around.
And by the way, Indiana is ready for that. They've picked that pass off from multiple Knicks. They picked it off from Deuce in Game 4 and Hart in Game 4. When they blitz Brunson or two guys get to Brunson and he hits the pocket, the wing defender is crashing hard to the corner. Every time. Obi got 2 steals like that in Game 4. Like, you have to recognize that that's what Indiana is selling out on, and it's either go finish or wait for the guy to get to the corner and go to the wing. But you have to understand that's Indiana's scheme, is they're crashing from that wing to the corner. They know the Knicks are better corner 3-point shooters than they are wing 3-point shooters. They're playing it that way. You got to be a step ahead. But most importantly, just go to the rim.
I think overall you got a good game from Bridges. You got a okay game from Anunoby only because, as you said, he was really good defensively. But you got a very poor shooting game from OG Anunoby. And you got a very uneven, if I'm going to be polite, game from Josh Hart. And with some stuff that, like, really, it just, those mistakes felt big they felt outsized. They felt like they were just very more important than they maybe should have been. But that's, just we were both watching the same game, and like every one of those, it's just like, it's like, this is why we're going to lose this freaking game because of this nonsense. My point is, they overcame what was, again, at best, overall, an okay to maybe slightly better than okay game from your third, fourth, and fifth best players. I got to think that's a good sign. Look, who the hell knows what's going to happen in Game 6? Maybe they get their doors blown off in Game 6. I don't know. But I'm taking it as a good sign.
Yeah, no, it is a good sign. And I think the bedrock is that your 2 stars have been stars all series long, pretty much. I know Brunson had one rotten game, but yeah, the Pacers don't have an answer for either of them. That was always the biggest advantage for the Knicks in the series. Is like, we could talk about how Halliburton has had his way with Bridges at times. The Knicks have options there. They haven't used all of them, but they have options there in terms of how to cover Halliburton. The Pacers do not have anything to throw at Karl-Anthony Towns and even Jalen Brunson. And it's like,
well, they could double. The Shepherd steal on Cat.
Okay, yeah. So that's the next step. Now, in the first half, Cat actually found Deuce for a 3, just one pass away out of the double.
Yep.
He's got to recognize they don't come from the baseline. This is something that in our pre-series pod with Caitlin pointed out, like, when the Pacers double, they do not double from the baseline. They double from the top. Shouldn't be a surprise to Karl-Anthony Towns, considering that's what they do. And because now Siakam's guarding him a lot, they are sending the double. Now the Knicks need to translate that help into open shots. They did it in the first half for Deuce,
and hit
Shepherd gets the steal in the second half. So, that's something that considering how Towns has had his way, I would anticipate, and Towns should anticipate those doubles better in Game 6 because they are coming.
Yep. But no, to your point, like, you just verbalized why, if the Knicks do lose the series, it's going to be insanely frustrating, because when you have not one but 2 guys that the other team can't really stop, you would think that you should win the series. And we're not going to go back and rehash tonight to celebrate a win. Look, the Knicks just doubled their total number of conference finals victories over the last 25 years. It's a good night.
John, who's the one man that can stop Karl-Anthony Towns? There's only one man.
Oh, sees him every day when he wakes up to brush his teeth and shave and whatever else he does.
Oh man, were you not rolling when they? I was cracking up when SVG was like, "His knee seems fine on offense." He's great. It was actually comical to watch. The guy looks like he's going to limp off the court, and then grabs an offensive board and finishes on the same possession. I was dying. SUG was all over that one.
He's one of one.
One of one.
There's nobody else like him in the. I mean, I don't know that there's been 5 players like him throughout the history of the NBA. Because you have to factor in the talent and then the stuff that drives you crazy. Look, would it be nice if the Knicks were a win away from their first finals in 26 years? Yeah, it would be nice. But they're not. They put themselves in this position. I think putting aside game 1, I think that they will rue game 2 far more than game 4. Although, no, I think they will rue game 2 far more than game 4. But look, it is what it is. But then again, look, you got game 3, and game 3, should that have happened? But maybe, I don't know. I feel bad talking about this. I really do want to just focus on the moment. But let me just ask you very briefly: does game 3 for you? Do you look at that as it made up for game 2? Do you look at it like it made up for game 1? Can nothing make up for game 1? How are you assessing the series as a whole, or are you not even doing that?
I think about game 1 every day for multiple hours. I don't no game is like game 1. Game 2 is not game 3. Knicks comeback does not equal game 1. Just look at the statistics. It never happened before in the history of the game. There's nothing to say. They should be up 3-2. And it stinks, but this is the Knicks team we know, man. They don't make it easy. Yeah. And they still got a shot in this thing. They still got a shot in this thing, and that is great. And it was a really, really solid, prideful performance that fans should enjoy. That was a really great performance by this team, even when not everyone had their best stuff, to your point, John. They didn't. And they had a double-digit lead for the last 3 quarters, essentially. That's a big deal. And Halliburton had nothing. And he's going to have something game 6. I'm telling you. And you're going to have to take some punches. But this team, if we've learned anything from them at all, if there's anything good to say about this basketball team, I think there are a lot of good things. But if there's one defining thing to say, they can take punches. They can take punches and they can come back. And they're going to have to do that in game 6 to bring it back to the Garden.
Look, they're one of the last 3 teams standing. Say what you want. Say what you want about how good the West is. You want to tell me Denver was better than... What's that?
Did we win the trade now since we're in it for one extra game?
Man, we'll be talking about that trade for a very long time.
I think
talk to me all you want about the West being great, but the Minnesota Timberwolves, for as good as the Minnesota Timberwolves, they've been very good all season. Looked good beating the Lakers. Looked really good beating who the hell they beat in round 2?
Warriors.
That's right. A weird Warriors team. Look, they went out again. No, look, who did they go out against? They went out against a team that, for all we know, is going to romp to the 2025 NBA title. And at this point, I would be mildly surprised if they did not romp to the 2025 NBA title. But look, one of the last 3 teams standing. Something to be proud of if you're the Knicks. It's something if you're a Knicks fan. Again, I get it. There's been a lot of negativity over the last week. I understand. I because I feel it too. I'm not gonna. I could sit here and I could lie to you. I'm not gonna do that. I felt it, but you're down 3-2. You're a win away from going to a freaking game 7 at Madison Square Garden. There are worse spots to be, and that is basically all I have to say about that. Any last thoughts from you, Benji, before we move on to our next segment, betting and sweating?
I'm trying to think if I should call out my friend. I have a good friend.
Call him out. Yes.
Who's a massive Knicks fan. His name is Jason Sugarman. Lovely guy. I dropped his name. And he put in a chat with me and a friend, Knicks fans for a long time. At one point, now it was at a low point, I believe, during game 4. But he uttered the words, "I wish we would have lost to Boston." And I just will never, ever, ever for the rest of my life let him live that down, to the point where I am now announcing it to over 4,000 people watching live and all the people that will watch on YouTube and podcasts later. So sorry, Jason. But man, like, that is nonsense. That is the most nonsensical. And Jason's not the only one. I've seen it on the internet. Sure. I've seen it on Twitter. Yeah. That is loser behavior and attitude. It just is. That series was amazing. And they're in game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. That is a tremendous accomplishment. Doesn't mean there isn't what to be upset about. Doesn't mean that if they lose game 6, there aren't things to talk about in terms of what this team is and isn't. But recognize the accomplishment. It's been an amazing playoff run. Not easy, not simple, but amazing. A lot of great moments. This was a great night. Enjoy it.
And hey, how about this? Before they bow, maybe they'll never bow out. Maybe we'll be celebrating a championship parade in a month or whatever it is. But if they do bow out at some point, before they did, I think and I don't look, we'll see what happens the rest of the series and so on and so forth. They just played a game on defense where they showed you, hey, we can survive with Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns on the floor together against a real offense. A real offense. It doesn't get much tougher to guard than this Pacers team. Are they the best offense in the league? But it's what they require of you and their ability to hone in on every weak spot you have. I just think it's unrivaled in the league. And they held up tonight. Those two guys together on the floor held up tonight. And to me, if I am going a little bit beyond this series and I'm trying to take big picture takeaways, I think that's maybe the top one that I take.
Yeah. Improvement is a funny thing because there are a lot, like in life, in basketball game, there are 100 different elements of a game that you could get better at.
Yeah.
And it's like in any self-improvement book, if you're religious, if you're whatever, like whatever mode of improvement you're looking to make in your life, the best thing you can do is just find one thing. You can't correct everything at once. It's impossible. Nobody can. In basketball and life. Like, for all those guys, especially like defensively, to just say, all right, hey, I'm Mikal Bridges. I got to be up a little bit. It wasn't perfect, but it was better. And then those two guys, you know how you survive? You just get a little better in your coverages. Show and recover means show and recover. It doesn't mean hug your defender, right? For Cat, actually be in a stance and contain a little bit better. It goes a long way, man. Like just a little more stance, effort, energy, attention goes a long way. Like those little improvements by every guy on the floor changed the whole defensive outlook. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. And I just thought it was such a workmanlike, solid defensive effort against a team. If you don't do those things, if you're a little bit lazy, if you're a little bit non-communicative, it breaks down so fast and they're on a 12-0 run. And they just never allowed that to happen. Massive credit to each of those guys for just improving a little bit, doing their jobs a little bit better, made all the difference.
I'll leave you with this. For me, stat of the night, at least, is courtesy of pivotfade.com. Knicks defensive rating tonight, 96.9. That's pretty good, right? 96.9 against the Space team. Pretty good, right? With Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns on the floor together in 25 minutes and 31 seconds, 73.1 defensive rating.
That's fantastic. Can I ask you a question while you have Pivot Fade up?
Sure.
The old starters.
Yeah.
What did they do? What did our boys do?
Well, they've been positive 2 straight games, right?
I know.
And in this game, Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby outscored the Pacers 18-15 in 9 minutes and 46 seconds. Not the most impressive offensive showing, 85.7 offensive rating, but again, a 71.4 defensive rating.
Grinded it out, baby. Grinded it out. That's good. We'll take it.
3 straight games. The starters have been good.
There you go. Uh-oh.
Since we're doing trivia, would you like to know something about Jalen Brunson? If I can just jump in real quick.
I'm going to listen. I'm going to grab a new beer, though. Yes, continue.
Okay, then fine. John's not here right now. Benji, so right now, Jalen Brunson, after tonight's 34-point performance, is averaging 30.1 points per game in the playoffs. He is now the 14th player with a minimum of 14 games played in a playoff to be averaging 30 points a game.
14th player or 14th time?
No. It's been done like Michael Jordan did it 8 times. So it's not like 14 times. But
and
the 14 players, do you want to guess a couple of the names on this list that Jalen Brunson has just joined?
I'm fairly certain I've looked up of either this list or a version of this list before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like of the 14 are like 12 top 75 guys?
Sure. I didn't look that far into it. I just started on Stathead John.
Is this like are you asking
the names are live? The names are Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Jerry West, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Giannis, Kawhi, Allen Iverson, Hakeem, and Rick Barry.
Wait, hold on. Start with Giannis again. Giannis, Kawhi.
I will send you the list.
No. Just say from Giannis, Kawhi. Who else?
Giannis, Kawhi, Allen Iverson, Hakeem, Rick Barry. You just saw me give John a note for the newsletter.
So everybody on the list is a top 75 player of all time, with the exception of Nikola Jokic, who could retire today and he'd be one of the top 15 players of all time, and Luka Doncic, who must stink because the Dallas Mavericks traded him for 18
for the number one pick in the draft. Yes.
What's that?
For the number one pick in the draft. Yes, they traded.
Oh, yes, that's right. They traded for the number one pick.
They won the trade.
Part of the deal. Yes, they won the trade. Yes. How could I forget that? That's a list. That is a list that superstar Jalen Brunson has just joined after another 30-plus point performance. He is 17 games into his playoffs right now, averaging 30.1 points per game. Love my captain. On both ends tonight, he was really good, too. And the wild part, I'm curious you guys take on this. It does not feel like he has had a great, capital G, great postseason. Is that insane of me to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Man, I don't think it's insane to say. I really don't, because the expectations are what they are, which is maybe the greatest compliment to him of all, is that you can look at this postseason and say it hasn't been amazing with those numbers, because I think he's averaging 30 on probably 46, 37, something like that.
I looked
85
exactly that actually
46, 37, 85 splits.
Yep.
That's quite good. Is it the best that he can do? Maybe not. And we haven't had there could be a 50 ball at some point. You never know with him, but it's those are where the expectations are. He is absurd. He's absurd.
7 assists, by the way, for those keeping track at home. 30 and 7 on 46, 36, 37, 85 splits.
My best bet. Why for betting and sweating do the two people doing the program, the show, why do our best bets not get in there? Because I went on live an hour before the game, and I told everybody who was willing to listen, Jalen Brunson, over 41.5 points, rebounds, assists, is free money. Just take the free money.
Always
I should get credit for that.
He's such a responder. You can always bet on a response from him. That's such a beautiful thing too. And don't take that for granted. If it's a bad game for the team, bad game for him, he's coming out and he's going to do his thing. That's what he does. Yeah. That's what he does.
What did Brunson finish with tonight? Points, rebounds, and assists.
It was more. It was higher than the total. Hold on. I'll go look right now.
So as we transition into betting and sweating for tonight,
32 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists.
So it clears it by the skin of its teeth.
Okay, who cares how much it clears it by?
So John's best bet hits. So we went 5-0 tonight in the entire universe between John and Mensa on the pregame, and then your 3 bets on the Fanatics Sportsbook app. Josh Hart, 9+ rebounds. That was mine. It hit. Jeff, goodness, what a bet. Landry Shamet, 1+ made threes at +100. And then
Landry Shamet.
He took a Landry Shamet prop for betting and sweating, and it hit.
Amazing.
And then Sean with a W, Tyrese Halliburton under 5.5 first quarter points. This almost hit for the game. But Tyrese Halliburton had 2 points at the end of the first quarter. So
he is so fascinating.
He is.
I don't know if I've ever seen a player like him.
Halliburton?
That the level of involvement, like he just has these games. Like he's gonna have one or two a series where he's just not aggressive. It is so odd. I don't know any other. He is a bona fide superstar. That conversation is over.
Well, that was a dumb conversation.
He is a superstar. He's amazing. But I've never seen a superstar that you could bet it one or two games he's going to have a no-show. It's just weird. Hard to explain.
I before coming on here, I tweeted that to that effect, Benji. I didn't know if we were going to get one of those uninterested in competing Tyrese Halliburton games this series. And he took 7 field goal attempts. I know they've got a game 6 at home that he can depend on, but if Jalen Brunson had a game like this, my goodness, the talking heads the next day.
Can I add a caveat?
Sure.
He's a superstar that is also a proven. For me, at least, I mean, maybe I'm just jaded because I've seen him do it against us. A proven playoff performer. We could talk about other superstars who have, like James Harden, right? Like has had some playoff games.
Yeah,
this is a different animal.
Yeah, I guess Harden does also do this where he doesn't take a lot of shots, which is odd. I don't know. It feels different than Harden because I feel right to your point. The guy has already, I think, proven he's up for the big games. Yeah. Like generally speaking, and he has had masterpieces. Game 4 was a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece,
utter masterpiece. And he hit the biggest shot of the series, obviously. It goes with that.
Yeah, so it's like, and for him to he dominates the entire game. He had a triple double in the third quarter. He dominated the whole game. How many rebounds did he have tonight?
First quarter. Tonight?
Yeah.
Tonight, Tyrese Halliburton, his final stat line was 8 points, 6 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 steals.
Where did he was Magic Johnson in game 4. He was Magic Johnson. And then he comes down and gets 2 rebounds and shoots. It's so bizarre. I'm telling you, it's not happening in game 6. So they're going to have to take some punches. They're going to have to take some stupid logo threes and fake no-look passes. It's all going to go that way. And you just have to, I'm telling you, man, it's going to be about finding traction on those runs and stopping them and fighting back. It's going to be a close game.
Game 6 is going to be about, can it be a 2-possession game? Ideally a 1-possession game, last 7-8 minutes. That's, to me, that's where I'm at for game 6.
Hopefully they come up clutch in the end of game 6, like we did tonight, going 5 for 5 in betting and sweating. Shout out to the fine folks over at Fanatics Sportsbook as we're doing a segment here on the KFS Postgame Show. Earn up to 10% back on your bonus bets, win or lose. Use fan cash on team gear on fanatics.com or bonus bets and profit boosts in the Fanatics Sportsbook app. Stay tuned for exclusive offers all playoffs long. I'm actually going to talk to them over at Fanatics because you could have bet tonight that an Ariel Hukporti over 0.5 in points, and it would have hit. The prop wasn't available, but I'm going to talk to them to see if they can do it. By the way, you talked about your loser friend, Benji, right? Dude,
he's not. He's a lovely man. I feel bad.
Lovely man. Probably a great person.
Big KFS fan. Loves you guys.
Thank you, Jason, for being a big KFS fan. I totally never had those thoughts at all during this series. Speaking of losers, shout out to Ariel Hukporti, who passed Joel Embiid for career points scored in the conference finals tonight. Congratulations.
That was good,
Ariel.
That was good.
You passed an MVP in points scored in the conference finals for your career. So bravo to you. You could probably catch Joel. I don't know if he's booked or not, but you could probably catch Joel Embiid at Fanatics Fest. I have no idea if he's going. I better believe I'm not going to have that energy for him if he's standing in front of me. But shout out to Fanatics Fest, which is next month. It's less than a month away, June 20th to the 22nd in the Javits Center here in New York City. Get your tickets today at fanaticsfest.com and use promo code Knicks Film School 20. That offer is good until June 4th. Knicks Film School 20 for 20% off. You can get a pass for all 3 days. We'll be there walking around doing man on the street interviews, maybe even a live podcast with a couple of guests. But you want to see us there. There's a lot of stuff going on. Do a 3-day pass, do a single day pass for Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. We may be busy that Sunday. Who knows? That Sunday is game 7 of the NBA Finals as of right now. But job not finished. As of right now, your only responsibility is to enjoy a Game 5 win and get your tickets for Fanatics Fest at the link in the description of this episode, not fanaticsfest.com. Use the link. We have a KFS specific link below.
Andrew, you don't like when we have a Halliburton podcast during the Fanatics segment?
I just didn't know what to do.
Don't you guys think? Didn't they
diverted into ball talk? And I was
didn't they partner with us for our content?
They did. They did. I just didn't know. I was here for the hijinks, and it turned into very serious. I'm just standing up there with the screenshot of the app. So I was like, I wonder what to do now.
Let me promote.
By the way,
can I promote? I'm going to promote for you now. I'm going to make up for it. Fanatics, my guys at Fanatics, with my fan cash, of course. Hat, sweatshirt, and a brand new setup behind me. You may have noticed. That's all went full screen on me. This is great. So you see the picture right there? It's blocked in the light.
Yeah.
You know who that is? That's a signed Julius Randle picture.
Hey!
Respect for my boy Julius. We're sorry it didn't go well there in Game 5. In fact, it went horribly wrong. But you had a great playoff run. We're proud of you. You're a Knick for life. I wanted to respect him because he's when I got started on this thing was Julius Randle. Then on this side, we got a Jalen Brunson poster. Bam! Look at that beauty.
Love it.
And that's courtesy of Fanatics, and I appreciate them very much. And you should cash in your fan cash, right, Andrew? There's your promo.
Absolutely. Bravo, Benji. That was great. For those listening on the podcast feed, Benji just showed us his setup, and you should go subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're about 150 away from 30,000 subscribers.
Oh shit!
So,
hey, let's do that.
So folks, get us there by Game 6, so we have more than one thing to celebrate.
Get us there tonight.
Or just get it. I had like a good line there, Benji, and he just like trampled all over it. I was going to say, get us there by Game 6, so we have more than one thing to celebrate after the game. Is where I
want a Game 7 so bad now, guys.
I
want it.
I got the taste tonight. It's them chanting Knicks in 7 at the end. I tweeted this out at the end of Game 4. I asked that the Knicks only win an odd number of games the rest of the series. Either win 1 more and let them celebrate in Indy, or win 3 more. So I will say, now that they've won the first one, what John said at the end of Game 2 on this very post game with both Benji and John on this stage, go win 2 more. I will not accept just 1 more win in this series. I will not accept them celebrating on this court again, this time with a trophy presentation. Go win 2 more. You've earned it. You've got to this point where you steal 1 more on the road. You've been great on the road in the postseason. You're 6-2, and then you get a home game for a trip to go to the NBA Finals. Go win 2 more.
They still haven't played a great game.
And you talk about
a great 48-minute game.
When we talk about Game 4 as this Indiana blowout, and you know what? With as great as Indiana played and the relentless pace at which they played, that was a game.
Yeah.
They never blew him out. And I think that was a good sign in a funny way. Like the Knicks never really had a grasp of the game, and yet they were in it.
Yeah.
And I just like, I don't know what's going to happen. It would be silly of me to predict what's going to happen. I picked Knicks in 7 at the beginning of the series. Hell, I'll stick with it. I don't know. But a lot of things to be excited about going into Game 6. And look, every game's a privilege. The pressure is a privilege. You're playing ball at the end of the season. It's a beautiful thing.